Okay, back to page 115, creating a square selection. In this section, you'll learn how to create a square selection using the rectangular marquee tool. So click on the background thumbnail in the layers panel to select it right here. Click the rectangular marquee tool, and that one's chosen here. Okay, and position your cursor over the tail light of the car. Click and drag while holding the Shift key. Note that your selection is constrained, creating a square selection. When you have created a square, size doesn't matter. First release the mouse and then the Shift key. Okay, so right back here over the tail light, I'm going to point here. And I'm going to hold down the Shift key and click and drag, and that's making a perfect square. And then it says, when you have created a square, release the mouse and then the Shift key. Okay? With the square selection still active, position your cursor over the selected region of the image. Notice that an arrow with a dashed box appears. Right here, see it right there, just like it shows in the book? This indicates that the selection shape can be moved without moving any of the pixel information in the image. Click and drag the selection to another location. Only the selection moves. Reposition the selection over the tail light. Click the Move tool and position the cursor over the selected region. Okay, so right here is the Move tool. And now notice that an icon with an arrow and scissors appears. This indicates that if you move the selection, you will cut or move the pixels with the selection. Click and drag the selection. The selected region of the image moves with the selection. Undo, edit, undo, move. Okay, or Control Z. You'll now alter that selection of the image. Note that in this example, you edit a region of an image without creating a layer. You are affecting the pixels of the image and cannot easily undo your edits after the image has been saved, closed, and reopened. You will discover more ways to take advantage of the adjustments panel later in this lesson. So right now, choose Image Adjustments. And Hue Saturation. Right here. You will now adjust the hue or color of this region. Click and drag the hue slider to change the color of the selected region. The hue slider right here. Okay. Select any color that you like. In this example, the hue slider is moved to -150. And we can do that by typing the number in too, like that. Okay, and then click OK. The new hue is applied to the taillight region. Choose File, Save, and keep the image open for the next part of this lesson. So I'm going to go File, Save. Okay, and now I'm on page 117, creating a selection from a center point. Select the background layer in the Layers panel, then click and hold on the rectangular marquee tool and select the hidden elliptical tool. So right here, hold down that little button there, and here's the elliptical. Choose that. Limber up your fingers because this selection technique requires you to hold down 2 modifier keys as you drag. You'll now draw a circle selection from the center of the image. Place your cursor in the approximate center of the tire. Right here. Hold down the Alt key and Shift key and click and drag to pull a circular selection from the center origin point. Release the mouse before the keys when you have created a selection that is surrounding the tire. If necessary, you can click and drag the selection while you still have the elliptical marquee tool selected, or use your arrow keys to nudge the selection. So I'm right here in the middle. I need to hold down the Alt key and the Shift key, and now I'm going to click and drag out. Let's see here, pointing at the middle, and hold down the Alt key and the Shift key, and I'm going to click and drag. There we go. It probably was because I had that other part still selected. So there's my circle. While holding down the Alt and Shift key, you can also add the spacebar to reposition the selection as you're dragging with the marquee tool. Release a spacebar to continue sizing. All right, we're going to skip that. Page 118, whether you need to adjust your selection or not, choose Select, Transform Selection. A bounding box with anchor points appears around your selection. Use the bounding box's anchor points to adjust the size and proportions of the selection. Note that you can scale proportionately by holding down the Shift key while you transform it. So hold down the Shift key and it will keep the circle, it makes it bigger in all directions, the same amount. So when you're finished with the transformation, click the check mark in the upper right corner of the options bar right here. And we're going to go File, Save. Again. Okay, and now changing a selection into a layer. You will now move your selection up to a new layer. By moving a selection to its own independent layer, you can have more control over the selected region while leaving the original image data intact. So with the tire still selected, click on the background layer to make it active, and it is. Okay. Press Ctrl J. Think of this as the jump my selection to a new layer keyboard shortcut. Alternatively, to create a new layer for your selection, you can select Layer, New, Layer via Crop. The selection marquee disappears and the selected region is moved and copied to a new layer named Layer 1 right here. Okay, now you will apply a filter to this new layer. Choose Filter Blur, Motion Blur. The Motion Blur dialog box appears. In the Motion Blur dialog box, type 0 in the angle text field. Okay, it's already at 0. And 45 in the distance text field. And then click OK. A motion blur is applied to the tire. That looks kind of cool. Select the Move tool and move the tire slightly to the right and press 5. By pressing 5, you have changed the opacity of this layer to 50%. So here's the Move tool. Move it slightly to the right. Okay. And press 5. By pressing 5, you've changed the opacity to 50%. Right here's the layer, here's the opacity, and there it is 50%. Congratulations, you have finished the marquee selection part of this lesson. Choose File, Save, and File, Close.